My career first began in 1891 as a passenger engine for the Furness Railway. For many years I performed this duty well, delivering commuters, passengers and holiday makers about my small line until 1907 when I was purchased by the newly formed Elsbridge and Knapford Railway on the island of Sodor to be its primary passenger engine. This was where I met Thomas and Toby for the first time, and we took a liking to one another very quickly. After a thorough repaint and the addition of a new number, I quickly set to work alongside my new colleagues. We were a grand team that worked hard to keep our passengers happy. Indeed, we had to, for any wise engine knows a railway's public image stems from how well it maintains its passenger services. More often than not, we had to push ourselves hard to maintain that image, as passengers are not shy about voicing their grievances, even at the slightest of delays. When our line was taken over by the LNER in 1922, Mr. Starr informed us we would be running express services between Knapford and the mainland, and that the engine who would be running this service was named Gordon. At first we were apprehensive to hear this, given that express engines had an unsavoury reputation for being overly arrogant and prideful. However, the day our number 4 arrived, he was most courteous and eager to get to work, and my word, did he make an impression on the passengers. By design, he was a Gresley A0, the only one of his class ever built. A very reliable and efficient engine, for the longest time he kept to his schedules without variance and was showered with praise by his passengers. Unfortunately, all this went to his smoke box and Gordon started prattling on about how his express was the cornerstone of the Norris's reputation on Sodor, which I'm sorry to say was true. However, the Middies were not idle during this time. They acquired an express engine of their own, a Patriot named Reginald. A fierce rivalry quickly arose between the opposing engines as they constantly vied for supremacy of Sodor's express services and took pleasure in whatever setbacks the other faced. It was early one morning in the autumn of 1936 when Percy was incapacitated by a severe case of boiler ache. This was very problematic as our number 6 had taken over from Thomas as Knapford station pilot a few months earlier, meaning there was no one who could organise the coaches for the morning's passenger runs. And since the rest of us were either taking on coal or tending to our other jobs, we weren't in a position to help. Thus, Mr. Starr was forced to telephone Lower Knapford where he knew Thomas would be. Our number 1 was quickly fired up and underway, working hard to get the coaches ready. What a beautiful day we have ahead of us. Prime weather to race through the countryside and... Wait, what's this? An empty platform? What's the meaning of this? I swear if Percy has overslept again... Easy on there, Gordon. Didn't you say he wasn't feeling too well last night? Balderdash! I always pull the express regardless of how I'm feeling. I'm sure Mrs. Starr has made arrangements to cover this. Look over there. Phew, that explains it. I say, Thomas... You do remember that a station pilot's duty is to have the coaches at the platform before the engine arrives? Get off my buffers, Gordon. I was asleep at Lower Knapford when I got the call. The passengers won't care for your excuses, Thomas. Neither will I. Nothing was stopping you from shunting your own coaches. Me? Shunt? How could you even suggest such vulgarity? Look, just take your place at the end of the platform. I'll be right there. Fine. Shunting coaches. Impudent wretch. To both Gordon and his passengers, the minutes felt like hours as Thomas shunted the coaches into position. Our number 4 was correct in that the usual procedure for passenger trains was the coaches were meant to already be at the platform. That way the passengers can climb aboard and the engine can couple up and depart with a minimal amount of fuss. Oh, bust my buffers. Shake a wheel, Thomas. Yeah, whatever, you galloping blue sausage. What was that? Nothing. Keep your lewd comments to yourself, Thomas. You know he's doing you a favour, right? Hardly. It's his job to shunt coaches. I mean, Mr. Starr. How so? He went to the effort of having Thomas arrange your coaches when he could just as easily have told you to do it. If he had, I would have told him what he could do with that order. If you ever do, I hope I'm there to see it. Finally. Not even a thank you. I shouldn't be surprised, but... sometimes I really hate that engine. Don't let him get to you, Thomas. You did an excellent job as always. I'll make sure Mr. Starr hears about this. Thanks, Edward. But boy, I'd give my left piston to see him taken down a couple of notches. So would I, old boy. So would I. Of course, neither Thomas or myself realised just how close Gordon was to receiving his lesson in humility as he raced down the line, eager to make up for lost time. His destination was Barrow-in-Furness on the mainland, where another engine would be waiting to take his passengers on to London. This was a guaranteed connection. I could do that going backwards. Gordon did make excellent time in reaching Barrow, where an LNER B12 named Alfred was waiting to collect his passengers. All the same, he was surely pondering if he had made it on time. Ah, Gordon, there you are. I was starting to get worried. Worried? Why? Do you mean I'm late? Only by a couple of minutes, old chap. Blast that wretched tank engine! What tank engine? Our station pilot. Our regular engine came down ill, so his predecessor was called in. Not only did he tarry in organising my coaches, he muttered something that I'm sure was an insult. When I asked him to repeat this slur, do you think he had the courage to do so? Of course not. Station pilots are miserable low-life cowards, every one of them. The ones in London are just awful. Still, it pains me to admit we need them. We can't very well lower ourselves by retrieving our own coaches now, can we? Certainly not. My, what have we here? Oh, bother. So it's finally happened. The Norreese's flagship arrives late at the platform. What a shame. Never mind, Gordon, it happens to the best of us. And causing accidents? Does that happen to the best of us as well? It wasn't an accident. I derailed. Simple as that. So simple it made the papers. Alfred, how did that headline in the Times read? Incompetent engine causes delays. Yes, that's it. I must confess I am envious of you, Reginald. In all my years I have never once graced the pages of the London Times. When I inevitably do so, I hope it's for a far more dignified reason though, like slipping into a ditch. Don't be so smug, Reginald, especially since you've had to fetch your own coaches. So what? There's no shame in that. No shame? Did you hear that, Alfred? I did. And he calls himself an express engine. If you two can't retrieve your own coaches, then you're just lazy. And if fetching my own means I hold off becoming just like you, I'll take whatever insults you can throw at me. Now, if you'll excuse... Ouch! Oh, blast! My safety valve has burst. Well, that's done it, Reggie. You won't be going anywhere else today. As you can imagine, Reginald's passengers weren't too happy to hear this, and Gordon, to his credit, seized this opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? In light of this unfortunate setback, the LNER is more than willing to offer its services to those looking to travel to the island of Sodor. Of course, Gordon's offer was well received as nobody wanted to be left behind. Never mind, Reginald. I'm sure this happens to the best of us as well. Well, I'd best be on my way. The passengers will be in need of a robust and reliable engine like myself. You get yours, Gordon! I say, Gordon, well done. Thank you, Alfred. Give my regards to our siblings in London. I certainly shall. I was right. Today is a beautiful day. Afternoon, Gordon. You look like you're in a good mood. Oh, indeed I am. Not only did Reginald break down at Barrow, but I managed to procure his passengers, thus bolstering our image and our takings for the day. Really? Well done. Thank you. Now, what would have made it perfect was if Thomas hadn't... Oh, no you don't. I beg your pardon, Toby. Edward told me what happened at the station this morning. I won't stand here and let you insult him again. Toby, he was slow in organising the coaches and I departed late. Thus, I arrived late at Barrow. It's not an insult if a statement is based in fact. Well, it seems your lateness only helped the LNER, wouldn't you say? You can't use blind luck to justify tardiness. No, but I can. Ah, good afternoon, sir. Afternoon, Gordon. Toby. Afternoon, sir. I've just come from the station where many grateful passengers are singing your praises, Gordon. Thank you, sir. Glad to help in any way I can. That's good, because tomorrow you'll be shunting your own coaches. Excuse me, sir. Watch your tone, Gordon. Percy has gone off to the works, but it's unlikely he'll be repaired by tomorrow. Why can't Thomas do it? Because he's needed on the Farquhar branch. One day of shunting, Gordon. I'm sure you'll be fine. Or do you have something you'd like to say? No, sir. Nothing. Good. Then good day. I arrived just after Mr. Starr left. I never told our director what Gordon said that morning, but given the way our number 4 was glaring at me, he obviously thought that I had. But my amusement quickly soured as Gordon complained long and bitterly that night about the supposed indignity of shunting his own coaches. Nonetheless, doing so, he saw a silver lining to this arrangement in that when he set out that morning, he did so without delay. However, that's not to say his run was without problems. Once more ripping through the countryside, brooding over his situation, he wasn't concentrating and forgot all about the Preston incline, forgetting to approach it at his maximum speed. "Gordon! The incline! What? Oh no!" Gordon surged forward with all the steam he had, but it wouldn't be enough. The steepness of the climb and the weight of his coaches conspired to hold him back. In truth, he was lucky to get as far as he did before it happened. Oh, bother! Well, you've done it now, Gordon. You've burst your right cylinder valve. Yes, Anthony, I am aware of this. It's from the shunting, I tell you. Engines like myself are not designed to stop and start so frequently. My cylinder was probably worn down by such actions. Whatever, Gordon. You'll need to go to the works to get this sorted. I am also aware of this. What could make this situation any more humiliating? I had to ask. Robust and reliable, eh, Gordon? Like always, Mickey was quick to respond and delivered Gordon to the works where Mr. Starr was already waiting. What could have been an amiable disagreement between the two quickly devolved into a full-fledged row as Gordon once more lived up to his boasting by telling Mr. Starr off. I didn't overhear the argument, but Scarlowy did. I'll spare you the details, but suffice to say the word fool was mentioned at least twice, and not by our director. For his gross insubordination, Mr. Starr put Gordon on goods work for the next 2 weeks. During this time, James and myself alternated in taking the express. I'll admit I enjoyed running this service, as did James. However, unlike myself, our number 5 revelled in tormenting Gordon about it. "Are you almost done with those trucks, Gordon? My coaches will need shunting back at Knapford." "Oh, clear off you!" I'm sorry to say Gordon's mishap would not be the only one we Norrises would suffer through. It happened on one of the days James was to take out the express. Percy had returned from the works and shunted the coaches as normal. Our number 5 would later admit that on the day in question, he was not concentrating as he backed down onto his train. "I wonder if I can beat Gordon's time to borrow." Ouch! "Careful there, James, I'm still back here." "Oh, don't be a baby, Percy. It was just a little knock." "Well, take it easy with these coaches, will ya? They're overdue for maintenance." Yes, all right. So long." Of course, James could never hope to beat or even match Gordon's time, but that didn't stop him from trying. He made excellent time along the line until he heard a faint, hissing noise. "Hey, Andrew, do you hear that?" "Hear what?" All of a sudden his brakes slammed on hard, forcing him to stop over a level crossing. "What the? Was that you, James?" "No, it wasn't you." "No? Maybe it was the guard." "Hey, Murray, what's up?" "That wasn't me. I thought it was you." "Nope, not us." "Well, it has to be." "Oh no, I think I know where that hissing was." A quick inspection of James's brake line revealed a small leak, likely caused by his rough coupling to the coach. So long as it kept leaking, his brakes would remain hard on, keeping him in place. "Great! How are we going to fix this? I might have an idea. Let me run back to my cab and get something." "Newspaper and a length of wire? Yes, we can use them to plug the hole. Will that work?" All right, settle down. I'm not happy about this either." Forget what I said. Just do it." The newspaper was wrapped over the hole and tied down firmly with the wire. Enough of the air was stifled that the brakes released, allowing James to carry on. However, given that it was only newspaper plugging the hole, meaning that it could break off at any moment, it was too risky for James to travel at top speed. If he had and the leak reopened, he ran the risk of damaging himself. Our number 5 had to practically crawl the rest of the way to Barrow, arriving very, very late. At least Gordon tried to make up for lost time. If you went any slower, you'd be going backwards. Blow out your smoke box, Alfred. With language like that, you should be pulling trucks, not coaches. I heard that when Alfred delivered James's irate passengers to London, many of them demanded refunds. When our number 5 returned to Knapford, he and Mr. Starr had a few words. Luckily, James didn't lash out at our director, and a good thing too, considering he took partial responsibility for the incident, as it had been on his orders that the coach's maintenance be suspended in order to save money. Unfortunately, the damage was done. Two relatively major incidents in close proximity to one another saw our passenger fares dry up dramatically as our reputation took a hit. In truth, the only thing that kept us going during this time was our goods contracts, but that's a story for another day. Goods work, the lifeblood of any railway. While it's true passenger trains are essential to a company's public image, it's also true that a railway derives the majority of its revenue from freight services. Factories, mines and other industries will often utilise railways to transport their goods due to our efficiency and our affordability when compared to those services offered by the roads. And during the time immediately following Gordon and James's mishaps, when our reputation took a hit, the continued loyalty of our goods clients was really what kept us afloat, a loyalty that remained strong due in large part to Henry. When it came to passenger trains, admittedly, we and the middies were on equal footing in terms of performance and capability, but Henry was the reason why we always held the upper hand in freight services, which is quite remarkable considering the somewhat sad history of our number 3. He was built in 1919 using plans stolen from the LNER's chief engineer, Sir Nigel Gresley. A cross between an LNER A1 and a GNR C1 Atlantic, his hybrid design meant he had strong pulling power but an inadequately sized firebox. This meant he always had difficulty building up and maintaining steam, causing him to break down on numerous occasions. The men who stole the plans from Sir Nigel were eventually arrested, and the LNER's board of directors was stunned when they discovered the fruits of their ill-gotten labour. Recognising his potential, Henry was assigned to Sodor, where he was given a complete overhaul. Not only did this fix his steaming problems, it allowed him to achieve his full strength, which was amazing. He became our heavy goods engine afterwards, much to the dismay of the middies, who lacked such a locomotive in their fleet. As such, they often had to share the goods work between them, doubling or triple-heading the larger trains. That's not to say they were completely helpless though. Indeed, most of the time, the middies' goods work was handled by a pair of CR812s named Donald and Douglas, who often tackled the larger loads together. Unlike most engines in the middies' fleet, Donald and Douglas were very pleasant chaps you could often hold a conversation with. However, James and Douglas did not like each other in the slightest, which is a story for another day. As it was between Gordon and Reginald, a rivalry existed between the trio over reliability, strength and other such petty matters. That's not to say they couldn't be civil towards each other. Indeed, from time to time, the three Scottish-built engines often found common ground in their work. Overall, thanks to Henry, we nor'easters dominated Sodor's goods work for many, many years, but such supremacy would come to an end. It began during one of Henry's usual late-night goods deliveries to Barrow. As always, he dropped off his train on time and collected another one for the return journey. Like the rest of us, he was quick to leave the terminal due to its close proximity to the scrapyard. Henry made good time on his return journey to Knapford, but after crossing the viaduct, he spotted a certain pair of Scottish twins whose faces were as long as the goods train behind them. I'm sorry to say this would be one of those occasions when the trio would not be civil towards each other. "Evening there, lads. Having a spot of bother, are we? It's none of your concern, Henry. Aye, you just toddle off. Are you sure you don't need a helping buffer? Maybe a wee push to get you started? It sure looks like you could use it. No, thank you. All right, if you should change your minds, I'll be back at Knapford asleep in my shed. Night, lads." "Oh, I'd like to give him what for. He's not worth the trouble, Johnny. Maybe not, but still. He'll get his, Johnny. Remember what Mr. Zorro said about our new arrival? Oh, aye, that's this week, isn't it? I believe so. Let's see how high and mighty Henry is when he arrives." A few days later, something very peculiar happened at Lower Knapford, where Thomas and Toby were sleeping after a hard night's work on the Farquhar branch. I'm sure they were enjoying their well-earned rest when suddenly... What was that? I don't know, but wait! Over there! I didn't see the engine, did you? No, and I didn't recognise the whistle. I'll tell you what, judging by the sound, there must have been over 20 trucks on that train. Even Henry would be hard-pressed to pull a load like that on his own. I hate to say it, but maybe the middies got themselves a new engine. Why the middies? Why not us? Because if we were the ones getting a new recruit, Mr. Starr would have surely said something. I hate it when you're right, Toby. And right, Toby was. Not long afterwards, we discovered the engine in question was indeed a new addition to the middies' fleet, a Stania 8F named Peter. To be frank, this was a day we had long been expecting. Ever since 1935, the LMS had been churning out 8Fs from its workshop at Crewe to act as its primary heavy goods engine, so it was only a matter of time before one ended up on Sodor, and he certainly made an impact on the island's goods industry. Because of his robust design, he was able to pull trains of incredible scale, often single-handed. Needless to say, Henry wasn't too thrilled by his arrival, and worked himself hard to match this newfound competition. Unfortunately, Peter's efforts turned the goods industry in the Middies' favour, and we began losing contracts to them. To make matters awkward, I discovered Peter was actually a nice chap about a fortnight after his arrival. That day started off like any other. I woke up fresh as a daisy, ready to take out the first commuter service. I was cold and watered, picked up my train, and off I went. Everything was going swimmingly as I chugged down the line, until I reached Lower Knapford, where I started feeling sick. After that, I struggled to reach the next several stations. As I would later find out, I had taken on some bad water that was slowly clogging my pipes. I wish I could say the service to my passengers was the sole reason I carried on, but my pride was also part of it. My overwhelming desire to show an old engine like myself was still useful. For the record, an engine in his late 40s was considered old. As I continued along, I dreaded what lay beyond Wellsworth. Gordon's Hill, as the Preston Incline had been renamed following our number 4's breakdown upon it. Just as a side note, when Gordon found out about this, he was not happy, unlike the rest of us. But getting back to the matter at hand, I was left wondering how I was going to surmount this obstacle as I chugged into the station. "Okay, Edward, you've struggled long enough, but I think it's time to call it quits." No, Harry, I'm fine. Just give me a moment to catch my breath. You've been hard at it since Lower Knapford, Edward. Don't think I haven't noticed. Well, it's not like we have a lot of alternatives, do we? Wrong. We can have someone else take this train. No, we can't. We can't afford any delays, not when our reputation is as brittle as it is, and if you should break down on the hill, what would happen to our reputation then? Pardon me, are you alright? Edward, isn't it? Yes, that's me. Don't mind me, I'm fine. Just a little flustered. I think you're beyond flustered, Edward. He is. He's ill and he's stubborn. A dangerous mix. I have to get these passengers to Crovan's Gate. Scarlo will be waiting for them. Crovan's Gate? Just so happens I got a pass through there on my way to Barrow. What say I give you a pull along? Really? Are you strong enough to do that? So long as you can muster what steam you can, that'll help. Well, sure. Thank you, Peter. No worries. Just give me a moment to get into place and we'll get underway. What a nice chap. As Peter backed down, I was a little sceptical about how well this would work, but I really had no choice and coupled up to the back of his train regardless. "You ready back there? Ready?" Without delay, Peter surged forward. I was utterly amazed by his strength, how he pulled my coaches and I along like we were a pack of empty trucks. I'm sure we made for a most peculiar sight to Colin as he approached from the opposite direction. "Hey, what's this?" It wasn't long before we were at the slopes of Gordon's Hill, making the climb in short order. "Here it comes! Give me all you got! Right!" I mustered what steam I could. Together, Peter and I charged up the hill and down the other side without any worries. You see? Nothing to it. Well done, old boy. You alright back there, Edward? Absolutely fine, Peter. Thank you very much. No worries. Take care. Well, good morning, Scarloey. Good morning, Edward. What was that about? Why was Peter pulling you? Oh, I was having boiler problems, so Peter was kind enough to give me a lift. That was very decent of him. Yes, it was. And I'll admit my opinion of the Middies has improved dramatically since this morning. Good to hear. With so many of you sharing the same tracks, it's about time you learned to get along. Truer words were never spoken, old boy. Morning, Diesel. Ah, Peter! There you are. You didn't come home last night. No, the drawbridge at Vickerstown broke down, so I had to spend the night at Barrow. Barrow, eh? I half expected you to say Knapford. What are you on about? Colin said he saw you helping out Edward. Are you off your nut? What's wrong with that? Peter, Maybe you don't understand how business works, but you don't get ahead by helping out the competition. Hang about, didn't Cotton once help out a nor'easter? There's a world of difference between letting an engine get blown up and leaving a museum piece like Edward in place, so that's your reason, eh? I shouldn't have helped out Edward because he's old? Brilliant logic, Diesel. Good morning, gentlemen. Oh, good morning, sir. Morning, Mrs. O. So, Peter, you helped Edward reach Crovan's Gate yesterday, did you? Yes, sir. I'll hear in for it now. Not quite, Diesel. Congratulations, Peter. Excuse me, sir. Congratulations, sir. Indeed. It turns out one of the passengers on Edward's train yesterday was a reporter from the Sodor Tribute who wrote a glowing article about how you selflessly helped that old iron reach his destination. This is marvellous. You can't buy this kind of PR. With respect, sir, I didn't do it for the publicity. I did it because it was the right thing. Right. Of course you did. Just make sure to repeat that if any other reporters come asking. Keep up the good work. What were you saying, Diesel? Grrr.
We'll be right back. On Joe. On Nick.
I'm sorry to say that Diesel was not the only angry engine on Sodor that day, not after one of the workmen showed Percy and I the latest edition of the Tribute and a very interesting article it contained. I didn't doubt Peter was sincere when he helped me, but I did take issue with the title the upstart reporter had given me, one that would forever stick, one that I would eventually get used to. Old Iron. The article did benefit us somewhat, as my example apparently demonstrated our willingness to service our passengers, which saw a steady return of those customers. However, the middies benefited most, as the article vividly described the strength of their primary goods engine, and we continued to lose ground to them on that front. The biggest blow came a week after the article broke, when we lost the exclusive contract to Sodor Logging. That night, we had a lot to talk about in the sheds. This is getting out of hand. Every day the middies nick another contract from us. I blame that wretched Sodor Tribute. Oh, don't you start, James. You're just sore because they wrote about your breakdown with the Express last month. No, I'm sore because they misreported the facts. They said newspaper and bootlaces were used to plug the hole. Bootlaces! How did they get that? Can we focus on the situation at hand, that is our dwindling number of goods clients? Aye, going after the paper won't change anything. They'd be just as likely to print an unfavourable story about us then. Well, what can we do? None of us can match Peter's strength, not even Henry, and we can't work any harder than we already are. Again, neither can Henry. That hasn't stopped him from trying. Henry is running himself ragged, and I'm not enjoying a single second of it. Blimey, Henry, you look terrible. I feel as green as my paintwork. If you keep this up, you'll knock yourself to bits, Henry. And what's the alternative, Percy? Do I just sit back and let that wretched 8F take away all my trains? Do I not fight to reclaim what I've lost? Steady on, old boy. We're only concerned for your welfare. I'm sorry. I know you are. Look, I overheard what James was saying. He's right. What else can we do other than what we've been doing? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That man has remarkably good timing. Alright, let's skip the formalities and get straight down to business. First off, I appreciate how hard you've all been working. You've all done exceptionally well, but it's abundantly clear to me that you need help. To that end, I've arranged for another engine to join us here on Sodor. Another engine, sir? What sort, sir? Heavy goods? Technically, he's mixed traffic, but he does specialise in freight runs. What's his name, sir? Eric. He'll be here sometime tomorrow, and I've ordered him to go straight to the oil depot at Lower Knapford. Thomas, I want you and James there to show him the ropes. Yes, sir. Oh, thank you, sir. We need all the help we can get. It's no trouble, Henry. You deserve it. You all do. There isn't a director in all of England who's more proud of his engines than I am right now. Good night, everyone. A new engine! How exciting! Oh, we didn't ask what class he was. As long as he's helpful, who really cares? This was an opinion shared by the rest of us, and we actually fell asleep smiling that night. The Lower Knapford Oil Depot was one of many projects built as part of the Sodor construction scheme. One of our regular jobs was delivering shipments of crude oil and petrol between the depot and Knapford Harbour. On this day, it was Thomas and James's turn to run these important deliveries. Oi, James, those tankers full yet? Almost. There was a problem with one of the pumps. Maybe they should have tried fixing it with bootlaces. Belt up, Thomas. Oh, lighten up, James. You gotta admit, it's pretty funny. No, I don't. All right, I won't joke about it again. Why don't I believe that? Whew! Is it just me, or are these fuel shipments getting bigger? Oh, they're getting bigger, all right. And it's no surprise. There are more cars on the road than ever. They're saying it won't be long before every household in England has a car. Maybe even two. Two? Blimey! And let's not forget the growing number of lorries rambling about. I don't mind saying the increasing road traffic has me a little nervous. I wouldn't worry about it. Even if it does get to the point where everyone is driving, I still think trains will have a place in the world. I hope so. Ah, James, listen, I just got off the phone with Mr. Starr and he needs you at Wellsworth right away. Why? Is something wrong? There's a goods train that Edward was meant to take, but he's been delayed. It's essential it goes out today. Hang about. I need James here. I can't run this lot to Knapford on my own. There's no point in arguing about it, Thomas, or rather, not with Mr. Starr. I guess. You'll manage. You always do. Good luck. Manage? With these trucks and those tankers, it'll take me all day to run this lot to the harbour. I don't see that we have much of a choice, Thomas. Neither do I, but still, there has to be... Who was that? I don't know. I've never heard that whistle before. Hello, I'm Eric. You must be Thomas. Real nice to meet you. Yeah, that's me. Thomas. You're right there, Thomas? Sorry, it's just... Mr. Starr told us we were getting a new goods engine, but you weren't expecting a tank engine, right? You get that a lot, eh? Pretty much. Can't say I blame no one. I mean, whoever thought there'd be such a thing as a heavy goods tank engine? Heavy goods? Really? Yep, there are a few trains I can't handle. Looks like you've got a few trucks there, Thomas. This lot going somewhere? Yeah, Knapford Harbour. Alright, let's get 'em coupled up and delivered. Can you take this lot on your own? I could, but I don't know the way. Well, I'll guide you to the harbour. Tops, sounds like a plan. When do we leave? Just as soon as I get turned around. Be right back. When Thomas returned from Elsbridge Harbour, where he had utilised his turntable, he found Eric already had the trucks marshalled. Blimey, you work fast. Like my old manager said, fast, fast and faster still. Well, Mr. Starr does value speed, but he also values engines who take care. I'll keep that in mind. Alright, here we go. I imagine Thomas must have had the same sense of exhilaration that I had when I was pulled by Peter. Eric truly was a heavy goods engine given the ease at which he hauled the trucks along. Under Thomas's direction, the pair sped down the line at a fantastic speed, baffling those middies that they passed to reach Knapford Harbour in record time. Blimey, that was incredible. Well done. Thanks. Hello, Thomas. I see you've made a friend. Yeah. Toby, this is Eric. Eric, meet Toby. Hello, Toby. Hello, Eric. So you're our new addition, eh? I wasn't expecting a tank engine? Yeah, I get that a lot. Well, I must say you've made a very good first impression. In turn, we all made our acquaintances with Eric, who became firm friends with us all, especially Henry, who was thrilled to be working alongside another dedicated goods engine. Between them, we steadily regained lost ground to the middies, reclaiming several clients and making new ones. Mr. Starr was very right to bring Eric into our ranks. He became a real asset, especially to our operations on the Farquhar branch. But that's a story for another day. The old saying goes that timing is everything, and this is especially true on a railway. If a company is to be successful, it must demonstrate absolute reliability by adhering to its schedules. This was somewhat problematic on Sodor, given that two separate companies worked on the island. In response to this, the main line, which ran from Arsborough to Vickerstown, was designated as common ground. Essentially, this made it like the roads in that it was there to share. The branch lines, however, were a different matter. At this point in time, only two such lines existed on Sodor, the Farquhar branch and the Brendan branch. These lines were considered too small to be shared, so each company was granted the exclusive rights to their operations. We handled the Farquhar branch while the middies worked on Brendan. As I said last time, Eric's arrival on Sodor was a great boon to our efforts on the Farquhar branch, particularly when it came to servicing the quarry. His robust design allowed him to carry long trainloads of stone from Anofa to wherever they needed to go, always doing so with a smile on his face. I'll begin today's story with Thomas's usual afternoon train to Farquhar, a service that included a stop at Elsbridge. This is probably a good time to talk about its tyrannical station master, Alexander Jeffreys, a man who had likely been working for railways since before the advent of steam engines. I don't think I've ever known a more horrid man. He ran that station like his own private kingdom, ordering his staff to do one menial task after another, all the while strutting about the platforms like a rooster. And heaven help any engine that was ever late, for they would receive a vicious tongue lashing, even if they lagged by only a few seconds. And yes, I am being serious. Jeffries was the reason why we never enjoyed stopping here, but I'm glad to say Thomas was in too good of a mood to be bothered by this. Afternoon, James. Beautiful day we're having, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I suppose I would. You're in a very good mood. Did your frightened go to sleep again?
Ha! Even better. I just heard Mrs. Kindly's out of hospital.
Really?
When did that happen? Yesterday. The pneumonia passed, so they sent her home.
Oh, that's brilliant. How'd you find out?
She telephoned Napford and the station master relayed the news. Said she's going to be waiting on the platform at Farquhar when I arrive. She also said she's got a surprise for me.
A surprise? Any idea what?
Wouldn't be much of a surprise if I did.
Huh, good point. Oh, she's an absolute dear to always be thinking of us engines.
Yes, she certainly is.
Oi! What's all this then? You engines can chat in your own time.
Settle down, Jeffries. We're on schedule.
That's Station Master Jeffries to you, you rusty red scrap iron.
Rusty Red! Caw! I'm out of here.
That was uncalled for, Jeffries. That's Station Master Jeffries. You throw out insults like that, you can forget about the title, mate. I am Station Master, and you will show me some respect. Like bother I will. Do us all a favour and just retire already. You insolent... Caw! This isn't over. That's what I'm afraid of. Thomas couldn't stay angry for long, not as he began to climb the Farquhar branch. This line had special significance to our number one, as he, Toby and I had helped build it back in the days when we were part of the Elsbridge and Knapford Railway. The line climbs high into the hills, passing through many small towns. It was in a quaint trackside cottage along this line that Mrs. Virginia Kindly lived, one of Sodor's most prominent citizens. The widow of the noted industrialist Montgomery Kindly, she spent most of her time holding charity events, often utilising us nor'easters to provide her guests with rides and day trips. Thomas couldn't get to Farquhar quick enough and was surely over the moon to see the philanthropic dowager, who was in the company of a strangely familiar young woman. Hello, Mrs. Kindly. It's so good to see you. How are you feeling? All the better for having seen you, Thomas. Oh, well, thank you. I gotta say, you're looking as fit as ever. I certainly feel that way, but my doctor has advised me to take it easy. That's probably a good idea, Mrs. Kindly. To hear that from you, Thomas, my mother might actually be inclined to listen. Mother? Bust my buffers! Jenny, is that you? Hello, Thomas. It's been a long time. A very long time. Goodness, I can remember you all throughout the construction. You were always out in that little red dress of yours brightening up our days. Just look at you now. Last I heard, you were at university studying archaeology. I completed my degree and went to Greece. I worked on a number of sites, including one where I met my fiancée. Your what? That's right, Thomas. My little Jenny is getting married, right here on Sodor. That's... Oh, I can't find the words. Congratulations, Jenny. When's the big day? September 15. Well, I'm sure the nor'easters will be happy to help in any way we can. I'm hoping Mr. Starr will say the exact same thing. I have a meeting with him this afternoon. Well, climb aboard and I'll take you right there. Thank you. A wedding! That's wonderful, isn't it, Clarabelle? Oh yes, Annie, I do hope we'll be involved. If it's going to be anything like Mrs. Kindly's other parties, we'll have to be. And given the conversation Mrs. Kindly had with Mr. Starr, which he in turn relayed to us, that indeed looked to be the case. But as this is a story about branch lines, I'll go into that more next time. In the months leading up to the wedding, business on the Farquhar branch remained very brisk, as the quarry and the Tory Rex sawmill were doing particularly well. Eric's ability to deliver their goods directly to their destination was a key component towards keeping their business strong. Now, it's not in my nature to disparage a colleague, but I do have to point out something about our number 12, chiefly that he wasn't exactly the brightest engine to ever come out of the works. He tended to take trains that weren't his, and sometimes outright forgot which ones he was meant to take. One of the earliest demonstrations of his subpar intellect was the day he helped out Percy with some shunting and somehow managed to mix up my goods train with Gordon's Express, a foul-up that was not well received by anyone. I'm sorry to say this next part of the story details Eric's most severe lapse in common sense and judgment. I once talked about the construction of Elsbridge Harbour and the government initiative under which it had been built. Well, after 18 months of hard work, this was the end result, a fully functional port that, while not as large as others on Sodor, was more than capable of servicing the local businesses. The harbour enjoyed a steady input and output of goods, doing so well that its board of directors intended to expand and approached Mr. Starr with the contract for such a job. Our director put Eric in charge of this operation. Over the next several months, our number 12 delivered trainloads of stone and wood to the growing site, ensuring its construction remained on schedule.
Okay, here we are. But, I don't see Clive. Clive? Clive, where are you?
Settle down, Eric, you young whippersnapper. I'm right here.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there.
That's obvious, as is the reason why you're here.
Yep, I need another load of stone for the harbour.
We might have a problem there.
Why? Are the chutes on the fritz?
No, a set of points are. Specifically the ones leading to the sidings where the brake vans are being stored.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? You'll need a brake van if you want to take your trucks.
No, I don't. I'll manage.
Come again?
I can handle it, Clive. I've taken trains before without them, and it's never been a problem.
Really?
Yep.
Well, alright then, I guess.
Tops. I'll just get turned around and be right back. Okay, we're good to go.
Are you absolutely sure about this, Eric? You really want to take your train without a brake van? And when was it you used to take trains without them?
Back on the mainland, brake vans were pretty scarce, so we often had to take trains without them. Like I said, it was never a problem,
except none of those trains were stone-filled trucks that need to be taken down a steep gradient, Eric.
It'll be fine, Ron. Don't worry. And don't you worry either, Clive.
Alright, I'll leave you to it.
Cheers. Well, I better get going. See you later, Clive.
Later, Eric.
Hello, Eric. Everything all right?
It was. I was meant to be going to the harbour.
Huh, there must have been a mix-up at the signal box.
Good thing I'm ahead of schedule then.
Say, in that case, could you help me with some shunting?
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Thomas was meant to do it, but he's been delayed. I would have gotten it done by now if Jeffries didn't keep prancing on over demanding that I pick up the pace.
What's the yard got to do with him?
Search me, old boy. He's a hopeless busybody.
Or just plain hopeless.
That too.
Just give me a moment to shunt these trucks out the way, Edward, and I'll be right with you.
Cheers, old chap.
Here, Gov. I'm so sorry about that.
Don't worry about it, mate. Listen, can you switch me into the yard, please?
No worries.
All right, I'll just leave you lot here and be right back. Okay, what needs doing?
Well, first... Wait, where are your trucks?
I left them back there.
On the main line? Eric, Henry's due through here with a fast goods train.
What? When?
Very soon. Well, don't just stand there. Go get your trucks now.
Right.
What the?
Look out!
Henry? Henry, are you alright?
I think so. What happened back there? I didn't know a train was scheduled to pull into the yard.
Well, it wasn't. Someone simply left some trucks on the line.
And who's the cretin who did that?
Well...
Henry! Henry! Oh, thank goodness you're all right.
Wait, Eric? Tell me you didn't leave those trucks back there.
I wish I could.
Oh, Eric, why'd you do that?
That's what I want to know too. I mean, really, Eric, how can you be so careless?
I don't know.
That's it? That's all you have to say for yourself?
That's all I can say.
You've put me into a very awkward spot here, Eric. I'm struggling as to whether I should tell Mr. Starr or not.
Edward, there's no need.
There isn't?
A wee mistake. No harm, no foul. Could have happened to anyone.
Really, Henry?
Really. Just be more careful in future, alright?
That goes double from me too.
I will. I promise.
Alright? Well, I've wasted enough time here. I better get...
Ouch! Henry, what's wrong?
I don't know. Let me try it.
Ouch! I don't understand.
It feels like... Oh no. I think I've got flat tires.
I'm sorry to say that was indeed the case. By stopping so suddenly and at such a high speed, the bottom of Henry's wheels had become squared. This meant he couldn't move. Mickey had to come and take him to the works, and he brought Mr. Starr with him. Our director was utterly furious, as all of Henry's drive wheels would have to be replaced, a process that was by no means cheap. Leaving trucks on the main line?
Yes, sir. I know it was stupid.
That may be the biggest understatement of the century. Honestly, what were you thinking? Listen to the question. If you were thinking at all, this fiasco wouldn't have happened.
Sir, I promise it'll never happen again.
I hope not, especially since you'll have to act as Henry's replacement while he's being repaired. Edward, I'm putting you in charge of the harbour expansion. Yes, sir. As for you, Eric, consider yourself on indefinite probation. If you fail one more time, I don't care how minuscule it is, I will send you packing. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
I did feel for our number 12, or rather, I would. At the time, I too was very angry at him for all the problems he had caused. I'll never know just how miserable Eric must have felt, but I can only imagine given the look on his face. About a mile or so down from Wellsworth, the line turns south at a junction. This leads to the Brendam branch line, which was formerly the main line for the Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway. At the end of this line is the seaside city of Brendam, which boasts the largest port on Sodor. Because of the size of the docks, the middies enjoyed a constant stream of goods contracts, with ships delivering vast numbers of passengers literally to their doorstep. Normally, such heavy traffic on a branch line would not be possible, but naturally, the bridges and tracks were strengthened to compensate for this. While the middies always had ample work, I didn't envy them for their position, as it meant they had to contend with a certain disagreeable old barge.
Come on, get those trucks sorted.
Settle down, laddie. I'm going as fast as I can.
Then you may as well stop.
You're not the only ship in port that needs tending to, you know.
I don't care about other ships.
Or anything else for that matter.
Oh, spare me. You've done your job, now push off. Ah!
Douglas's tiff with Bulstrode would put him into a foul mood for the rest of the day, and this was unfortunate for the Mies number 10, as on this day, Mr. Zorro had informed his crew that a large shipment of China clay from the nearby pits needed to be filled. It was all hands on deck for this job. All day long, the middies worked themselves hard to fill this order, the China clay being loaded onto ships for export so it could be turned into paper, pottery, and other things. Throughout the day, Douglas would gripe constantly about Bulstrode, and no amount of calming words, even from Donald, were enough to stop that.
Ark, that rusty old fool must have barnacles on the brain. Oh, are you still going on about Bulstrode, Douglas? He's a prat, Diesel. Are you just waking up to this? He's always been a cantankerous git. Ark, I only wish I could treat him as badly as he does everyone else. Way ahead of you, Douglas.
How do you mean, Drolin? Let's just say I thought he could use a relaxing time at the beach. Do I want to know the specifics? No. Well, thank you, Drolin. Yes, thank you, Drolin. Maybe now Douglas will stop griping and do some work. All right. Don't get your fuses in a fizzle. I'm moving. Good.
I swear, I have to do everything around here. Why can't anyone else just... Oh no.
Crikey, Diesel, look what you've gone and done.
I'm aware of what I've done, Douglas. Goodness, the current may well take those trucks out to sea. I'll alert the Coast Guard. Oh, real professional, Diesel. Belt up, Douglas.
It was several hours before the recovery operation was completed. Although the trucks were pulled from the sea, the clay was lost. Mr. Zorro was not happy, as this accident cost the middies a great deal of money. As punishment, Diesel was assigned to scrap runs for the next fortnight, which is considered by many engines to be the lowest duty one can perform. I'm sorry to say things weren't much better for Douglas the following day as he tried to deliver a shipment of China clay to Aylesbury. Although he hadn't seen Bulstrode, he would nonetheless suffer an annoying inconvenience. But that's a story for another day.